What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Recently, we have been covering quite a bit of information regarding the Kenobi series, which is slated to release on May 25th of this year. Today, we are going to break down all information regarding one of the promotional art images that we see in the Kenobi reel, that being Vader's very own castle. For most of the original trilogy, Vader stayed aboard either a Star Destroyer or his Super Star Destroyer, as he was constantly on the hunt for the Rebels, and more specifically, Luke Skywalker. While Darth Vader had many amenities put in place on this ship, such as his necessity for a bacta tank and his meditation chamber, this was not where Vader actually lived. Vader did in fact have his own home, and it wasn't on Coruscant with Palpatine either. Fortress Vader has been a rather untouched part of Star Wars canon and lore, appearing only a few times in some of the comic books as well as the Vader Immortal VR video game, which is where the game mostly takes place. The castle resides on the very volcanic planet where Vader suffered his greatest defeat, Mustafar. So without further ado, let's get into it and everything we know about Vader's castle, as it will presumably be playing a major role in the upcoming Kenobi series. So what dark deeds are within Vader's castle? What hidden terrors lie behind all the closed doors? Let's break down everything we know in this video. Vader's castle is actually an epicenter of the dark side of the Force, as well as a dark side amplifier, with Mustafar itself having a strict allegiance towards the darker aspects of the many gifts of the Force. On the surface, it may simply seem as if this is Vader's home. However, its purpose and intentions are far more sinister. Ironically, Vader's castle doesn't start with Darth Vader, but with another Sith Lord by the name of Darth Maulman. We first see the Sith Lord Darth Maulman when we see him in his mask in Lando Calrissian's comic series, and then it is expanded upon in Vader's own comic book series lore. Although this video won't be fully dedicated to Darth Maulman, we will have a video coming out in a few days that will detail the history of Maulman and his significance to the origin and his viewpoint on the dark side and his controversial opinion on the Sith themselves. So to make a long story short, Darth Maulman was a crazed homicidal Sith architect that lived many years before the Bainite era, that being the rule of two. Much like the legend Sith Lord Darth Nihilus, after he was killed, his spirit clung to his mask and sat dormant for many years, resting in the Jedi archives until discovered by Darth Sidious, and then subsequently gifted to Lord Vader directly. The Lieutenant Imperial officer that was to oversee the construction of the Dark Lord's abode on Mustafar was eventually possessed by the Mask of Maulman, as it offered Vader his dark services. He then killed her partner and began plans for Vader's castle himself. Once Vader discovered him, Maulman showed him the truth about a certain cave on Mustafar. The cave was a nexus of Force energy, which Maulman believed could be used to access a realm beyond theirs, essentially the world of spirits. Thus far, it's been unconfirmed whether or not this is the world between worlds that we will see in Rebels, but I do not believe that it is. I think that this may be something different entirely due to what happens later on in this story and the story of Vader's castle. Maulman believes that if the world could be accessed, then it would be possible for Vader to eventually bring Padme back to life. After this meeting, Maulman begins construction on a fortress which would actually serve as a portal for this world. Each design came with its own failures and flaws, as Vader rejected subsequently 9 different iterations of his castle, as opening a portal to the dark side of the Force was far easier said than done. The first 5 times, the portal would cause changes all over Mustafar and create violent lava storms which wreaked havoc on the castle. Vader would then kill each body of Maulman that he would possess, until the 9th iteration of the castle came to fruition. The 9th that Darth Maulman himself had great confidence in. During this time though, the natives of Mustafar were growing increasingly more hostile due to the number of storms that had been sweeping across the land because of Vader and his various constructions on his castle. The chieftains of the Mustafarian tribes were mounting a large attack on Fortress Vader, which the Imperial garrison were doing their best in order to repel. Vader was eventually forced to join the battle and turn the tide, as Maulman completed the design of the 9th castle, but double-crossed Vader by using it to bring back Maulman's own body. After this, things only got worse for Vader, as the Mustafarian chieftains used the Force to lift the lava and wipe the battlefield clean. Only Vader survived the destruction, and proceeded to destroy the rest of them. When a heavily damaged Vader returned to the castle, he discovered Maulman's betrayal, and the two had a duel in which Vader ultimately won. Afterwards, Vader's spirit went into the portal, but he was ultimately unsuccessful in persuading Padme to return to the real world with him. Upon his return to the physical world though, he destroyed the portal and for a brief period of time stayed on Coruscant with Palpatine, fearful of Mustafar and the construction that he had made, until finally returning to his fortress. A fortress designed out of his pain, with a perfect view of the location for where he officially became Lord Vader, where he was struck down several years ago by Obi-Wan and where Anakin Skywalker was burned away. The fortress was now so corrupted with the dark side that all inhabitants, Imperial and Mustafarian alike, had gone mad when trying to go near it. These events happened at some point during the 20-year period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, when Vader was still very emotional and still desperately clinging to finding a way to get Padme back. It is probably doubtful that any of this would be explored in the Kenobi series, as the show will most likely be solely focused on Vader's relationship with Obi-Wan, and not Vader's abode, though I have confidence that we will definitely be seeing several scenes with Vader alone in his castle pondering what could have been, and stewing on his rage towards Obi-Wan. Fortress Vader is home to many terrors of the dark side, as well as dark energies being therein, hidden Sith vaults with relics hidden somewhere deep within the confines of the fortress. Eventually, the castle was left in ruin after Return of the Jedi, and the subsequent deaths of Vader and Sidious, if even so for momentarily. At some point later on, a freshly turned Ben Solo and the Knights of Ren would become legend by storming the ruins of Fortress Vader, something that we hope to learn more about in the upcoming comic book. So friends, tell us what you think below about Fortress Vader, and what are you thinking so far about the Kenobi series as a whole, basically the trailer that is. And as always, may the Force be with you, and we hope you have a great day.